A young girl lay in a hospital bed, her legs still, her future already decided by the people holding the clipboards. The doctors had spoken. The verdict was clean and final. She would never walk. She walked onto an Olympic podium 3 times. What lies between those 2 sentences is not a miracle. It is something older and more available than miracles. The Bhagavad Gita opens on a battlefield. Arjuna, the great warrior, has dropped his bow. His hands tremble. He looks at the enemy and sees his own family, his teachers, his beloved. And he says, I cannot do this. I am finished before I have begun. Krishna does not argue with his pain. He does not say, the fear is wrong. He says something far more precise. You have a right to perform your actions, but you are not entitled to the fruits of those actions. Act. Do not wait for the outcome to give you permission to begin. This is the doctrine of Nishkama Karma, action without attachment to result. Not recklessness, not blind hope. A deep, disciplined willingness to move without knowing where the ground will be when your foot lands. The girl the doctors had written off did not have a map. She had something smaller and more stubborn, a refusal to let someone else's conclusion become her own. She trained when her body resisted. She fell, and the falling was not failure. It was the work itself. Every session was its own complete act, not a step toward a distant dream, but a full expression of what she was choosing to be, right then, in that moment. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, who was born a slave and knew what it meant to have his body owned by another, taught that the only true freedom is the one no one can take. The freedom to choose your response. Your legs may not obey. The judges may not score you fairly. The world may not see you clearly. But the quality of your effort, that is yours entirely. Buddhism adds one more layer. The Buddha taught that suffering is not the obstacle to the path. Suffering is the path. The lotus does not grow in clear water. It rises from mud. The resistance she faced was not separate from her becoming. It was the very medium through which she grew. And in that understanding, everything shifts. 3 lessons live inside this story. The first, identity is not a diagnosis. When someone tells you what you cannot do, they are describing their own limits of vision, not the limits of your life. A seed does not consult the soil before it decides to grow. The second, the present action is the whole practice. We exhaust ourselves imagining the summit while standing at the base. The Gita's teaching is surgical here. Do the next right thing, fully, without bargaining with the future. 1 training session, 1 step. Not 3 Olympic goals, just this. The third, resistance is not a sign you are on the wrong path. It is often the sign you are on the only path that matters. The river does not become powerful in the open plain. It becomes powerful in the narrow canyon, where the walls press in from both sides. Here is the practice. Tonight or tomorrow morning, find one thing you have been postponing because you cannot yet see how it ends. 1 conversation, 1 creative act, 1 step towards something that frightens you. Do not ask whether it will succeed. Ask only, can I do this one thing fully right now? Then do it. Not for the outcome, not for the applause. Do it the way a candle burns, completely, without holding anything back, without needing to know who is watching. The Gita calls this offering your action to something larger than yourself. The Stoics call it focusing on what is within your control. The Buddhists call it being fully present. They are all pointing at the same quiet fire. Light it. Today, a girl lay still in a hospital bed while the world made its pronouncements. She did not argue with the world. She simply outlasted its conclusions. The ancient teachers knew this truth long before she was born, that the human spirit is not a fragile thing waiting to be protected. It is a seed that, given even the smallest crack of light, will split stone to reach it. You are not your diagnosis. You are not the verdict someone handed you in a difficult season. You are the action you choose right now, in this moment. That is where your gold is waiting. Subscribe to LifeVeda for daily wisdom that transforms your life.